This is just showing you a little bit about what we're doing with blogs. We maintain several blogs. We host them all on WordPress.com and map to a subdomain of mayoclinic.org or mayo.edu. We're able to not have to have the discussion with IT and say, hey, would you guys install server software? Or could we put out an RFP or anything like that? We write a very small check, do the domain mapping, do the customization, and make it have the look and feel of our Mayo Clinic websites. This is our news blog. It's our online newsroom that costs us about $4 a month to be able to provide audiovisual resources to journalists before embargo, and then after it becomes public, then we can open it up for patients to be able to hear those full interviews with the doctors who are talking about their studies and various conditions. This is Sharing Mayo Clinic, which is our patient and employee blog. It's our culture blog. It's behind the scenes at Mayo Clinic for people who haven't experienced it. This is the way we're syndicating, kind of our MacGyver method of syndication, using a blog to distribute MP3 files to radio stations for a 1-hour weekend radio program. Instead of paying $20,000 a month to a syndicator for a much lower price, we're able to syndicate it ourselves. And this is where we have our Mayo Clinic employee guidelines. We call them guidelines, not policies, because guidelines are interpretations of existing policies. So things like HIPAA and all of our other, confidentiality policies all apply in social media just like in others. This just helps people know what the way that these should be interpreted for the social media platform. The yearly cost for one of these customized blogs, $75. So in essence, for about $300, you can have a worldwide television station and publishing empire, which is really cool. And I want to tell you, give you 3 case studies in the remaining 8 minutes that I have, I think. And this is my smug social media pyramid, where we have 6 to 11 servings a day of microblogging or Twitter, and then building up. But and what I want to illustrate through these cases is how these platforms work together. The first is a story from Facebook. Tamiko Lyle is from Kelowna, British Columbia. She was at Mayo Clinic earlier this year, wrote on our wall saying, I can't believe it. I've been here 7 days and I've gotten answers to my stuff. I'm not, all this waiting. I've seen lots of specialists in a short time. She wrote on the wall while she was still there, while she was still at Mayo over the weekend. And so I replied to her, said, hey, I work with our Mayo Clinic, our Sharing Mayo Clinic blog. I'd really be glad to capture your testimony. First of all, thanks for writing on our wall, but if you'd like to shoot a video talking about your experience, that'd be great. This is her story. This is what we shot with the flip video camera and embedded it here in our Sharing Mayo Clinic blog. And as I've had further conversations with her, she said, I've had lots of people ask me about the YouTube video. I told at least 30 people they should come to Mayo. And so if you're looking at something that didn't cost you hardly anything and lots of potential patients coming from it, the ROI is really pretty easy to resolve. It ended up that because we discovered her through this, we do a little bit of advertising internationally, and this was an ad that was run as part of our Canadian campaign, again, discovering the patient to be part of this through social media. The next story is I think he was robbed. He should be the most valuable player. He's just an extremely valuable player for the Philadelphia Phillies, Jason Worth. Yeah, go Phillies. Actually had his wrist fixed by Richard Berger, a Mayo Clinic orthopedic surgeon. And I was in Philadelphia earlier this year, and I got to interview Jason. So this is under the tunnel at the Phillies ballpark. But yeah, it's kind of cool. And so then when he hit 2 home runs to send the Phillies into the World Series, we did a blog post linking to some of the transcript of what he said. And there have been, the news stories haven't resulted from it, but there have been some news stories in the LA Times and New York Times about his experience. I want to close with a story that is our most significant success experience. Is the octogenarian idols. An 89-year-old man and his 82-year-old wife were playing the piano in our Gonda building atrium. There's a $50,000 piano there that says, with a sign on it that says, if you'd like to play this piano and if you think other people might like to hear you, please feel free to play. Another patient had shot this video. Her daughter uploaded it to YouTube. It had been seen 1,000 times in 6 months. But when I discovered it in early April, I embedded it in our Sharing Mayo Clinic blog, so it was no cost for us to produce it. Posted it to Facebook, and then I tweeted it. By the next day, it was up to 3,800 views. 6 days later, 27,000. April 22nd, 65,000. May 3rd, 188,000. And this was really a red letter day for me personally, because that was the day that was featured in Random Lunatic News, which has always been kind of a personal aspiration of mine. With the one sentence post, this will just make you stupidly happy. It was probably more important that it was on fark.com. So by May 4th, it was at 228,000. The right way to say this holiday is Cinco de Mayo, 293,000. That's when we were actually in touch with Mr. and Mrs. Cowan and asked, is it okay if we pitch your story? Well, it's already up there, but pitch it to news media and said, let them know about it. And they said that'd be fine. So May 10th was the day they were in the Des Moines Register in their online edition too. If you go see the video, you see Mr. Cowan saying, "What tube?" Because he's 90 years old and doesn't own a computer and had only seen the video on one of his employees or his employee's iPhone. May 15th is the day they crossed the million mark. That's my birthday, by the way, just in case anybody wanted to know. It came up in our earlier discussion too. May 26th was when it crossed the 2 million mark. And that was the morning they were on Good Morning America live in the studio. So I'd like to now just show you the video.
Over here.
And so I'm just about to close here, but anyway, it's peaked at 5,000 views an hour after being seen 1,000 times in 6 months. My lesson out of this, your mileage may vary, but you go a lot further if you get a car. If you have a vehicle where you can actually promote these things, if you have a Twitter account, a Facebook fan page, it can help spread the word. We see huge potential. We're only starting to scratch the surface internally, the more efficient care delivery. And then finally, I want to close with Sir Ken Robinson, who has a great story that he tells. He's an educational expert on creativity. He talks about how his son was in a nativity play, was in the Wise Men, and the first one comes up and says, "I bring gold." The second one says, "I bring myrrh." Third one said, "Frank sent this." And his point out of this is kids will take a chance. If they don't know, they'll have a go. And so I'd really just encourage you this is some of my particular wisdom. The main thing is you just need to try these tools, get the hands-on experience. That's kind of what I've been doing, and you find ways to apply it. This is our crowdsourced smug logo. I'm bad at art and I don't know Latin, but we got somebody to translate our motto, which is "It's not that hard," into Latin. So please do visit. All the slides are up there. If you have an iPhone, let's bump to share contact information. Otherwise, here's how you can get in touch, and we'll pass it on.